Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, coming to you guys on our weekly live shows, and I'm so excited to break it down today because we are actually talking about the possibility of the Vikings not drafting a quarterback, as ESPN's Kevin Seifert did suggest so. But let's let the audience build up here, and then I want you guys to show off your purple pride and give me a skull down in the comments section. And I will give you guys a shout out as Nico Spriggs in the chat. What's going on, Nico? Hopefully you're holding it down in Chicago. We have an FBI agent actually in the chat right now. Shout out to Nico. And then Get the Bag saying, if they don't, that's just idiotic. Get the Bag. I second your thoughts.
Seeps, did you just out a federal agent?
I did just out a federal agent. We have a federal agent in the chat right now. Shout out to Nico. Scolding coming in. Joshua Williams saying they have to draft a QB, otherwise JJ is leaving. And yeah, and I'll show you guys my thoughts here once we start today's show on why I do think this is a total smokescreen from Minnesota. Get the Bag in the chat. X is vibing in the chat. Good to see all of you guys in here. We are going to be doing a raffle for the month of March at the end of today's show, so stay tuned for that. I'm excited to see who ends up getting it. But Skull Nation saying Sam Darnold has to be the starter. Yeah, I agree. I mean, Sam Darnold's going to start for at least the first, I would assume, 8 games minimum. Even if the Vikings could somehow get Drake Maye, I still think it's Sammy D going to be the man there starting week 1. But I'll give you guys my thoughts here and more in depth in a second. But first, I do want to tell you guys about today's sponsor, and that is Game Time. And let me tell you guys something. This is the best ticket purchasing app out there. If you guys are planning to go into any Minnesota Timberwolves games, Wild games, whatever it may be, shows, concerts, music festivals, they got it all covered over there at Game Time. So download the Game Time app, use code CHATSPORTS, and we'll give you guys $20 off your first purchase. So hey, if you guys haven't downloaded Game Time yet, the Timberwolves, they're starting their little playoff run here shortly. If you guys want to get involved in on the fun, download the app, put in that code CHATSPORTS, and if you guys click redeem code right there, we'll hook you guys up with $20 off. So get hooked up today. But let's talk about it. Let's start off with Sam Darnold. We have some people talking about him in the chat. Do you guys believe in Sam Darnold as the quarterback next season for the Minnesota Vikings? Keep this in mind. He is still only 26 years old. Aaron Rodgers got his first start in the league when he was 25. So I'm in the camp that I believe in him. Can he be a franchise quarterback? Can he be a guy that can go win a Super Bowl? Probably not. But could he have a Baker Mayfield, a Jared Goff type of resurgence here in the NFL? I really do believe so. As we got Get the Bag, kind of seconding my thoughts. He's saying yes and no. Deborah North saying N for no. Skull Nation saying yes. Joshua Williams saying hell no. Saying Sam isn't going to beat out Drake Maye or Penix. And yeah, I don't think he's going to beat out either of these guys. But I do think he's going to be a solid option for this football team. And even if Drake Maye is the, no doubt, clear-cut better quarterback once they do get to camp, I just still think that, they're going to ride with Sam Darnold and see what he has, in store. As Roger Bong saying, there's a chance. Listen, there is definitely a chance. There is definitely a chance. X is vibing saying yes and no. Yes as a 6 to 8 game bridge if needed. No in a resurgence. This offense is too complex in O'Connell's words. It will be hard for any guy to learn in 1 year. That's actually a great point, X is vibing, that I wanted to get to, because I think we just automatically chalk it up as that a rookie quarterback's going to be able to come in here, learn the offense very smoothly, and then just be able to kind of take the reins and run with it. I think no matter what, a rookie quarterback's going to start or be benched at least the first half of the season. But speaking of rookie quarterbacks, these are the big 3 that have been linked to Minnesota. If you guys had to pick one, let's just say the Vikings somehow get the second pick in the draft and all 3 of these quarterbacks on the board, let me know who you guys are going to take. Give me a DM for Drake Maye, JJ for JJ McCarthy, or a JD for Jaden Daniels. As X is vibing's going JJ. Cody is going JJ in the chat. And, listen, I've had this take. I've said it multiple times. I think the best quarterback in this year's draft class is going to be, or the second best is going to be whoever the Minnesota Vikings end up taking. So I am cool with either of these guys. If I had to pick one, though, I'm starting to lean towards J.J. McCarthy just because of the fact I think the Vikings would only have to trade up to pick number 4 to land the Michigan quarterback. So I'd probably lean McCarthy. But again, like either of these guys, like if they could just walk out of the draft with either of these three, and the Vikings will definitely have a successful draft. As Patrick Lang is saying neither. Okay. Shane is saying don't move up, take Penix. I like Penix. He's a very good quarterback, and I think if you watch, Michael Penix's tape in comparison to a guy like J.J. McCarthy from this past season, obviously Penix has better tape. Penix was a way better quarterback last season. However, when I'm evaluating these quarterbacks, I am projecting, and with J.J. literally being 3 years younger than Michael Penix, and Michael Penix already suffering 2 torn ACLs, I don't know. I just think it's ludicrous if you would take Michael Penix over J.J. McCarthy. But we are going to get in the report that the Vikings may draft a quarterback in 2025 instead of 2024. If you guys disagree with that and want the Vikings to draft a QB this season, give me a like on today's show. We're at 22 likes. I'm getting word from the bosses in my ear right now that we're not allowed to start the show until we at least get 30. As Roger is saying too much smoke right now. Roger, I'll be explaining my thoughts here in a second, as it is all smoke here in Minnesota. Patrick Lane saying use our picks so we have a deep team. I think they kind of addressed that in free agency a little bit. I think they already kind of, cornerback was a position in need, still is. But they did bring in Shaq Griffin. They brought in 2 really good edge rushers in Van Ginkel and Jonathan Grenard. Still need some help on the interior offensive line, but I do expect Dalton Reisner to re-sign with Minnesota here any second. And then, tons of amount of smoke right now. It is all smoke, guys. It is all smoke. Jaden Daniels, let's go. Yeah, listen. I'm down. I'm down for whatever. But we are going to be doing our last call on our raffle this month. So we are giving away a pretty cool item, but last call for the March raffle. We're going to be doing it at the end of today's show. If you guys have sent in a $10 super chat at all during the month of March, I hooked you guys up with a raffle ticket. So if you guys want to boost your odds or get into the entry for the first time, a $10 super chat gets you 1 ticket. And then obviously if you send in 20, we'll give you 2. 50 will give you 5, and 100 will give you, 10 as well. But this is what we're giving away. It's a little nightstand Vikings helmet. This thing is freaking sweet. We'll ship it right to your doorstep. It floats around. You can spin it around. This thing is awesome. Honestly, I was thinking about getting one for myself. But any $10 super chat we wanted to give back to you guys. You guys will be entered to win this little Vikings, I don't even know what to call it, rotating helmet, I'm going to say. So if you guys want to, definitely encourage you to do so. But coming up on today's show, first segment, are the Vikings not drafting a quarterback? We're going to talk about it. And then CBS Sports dropped a mock draft for the Minnesota Vikings where they had them trading up to pick number 4. So we're going to talk about that. And then also we're going to have one of our award-winning mailbags here on the channel. So if you guys want to get your thoughts heard by a ton of Vikings fans, use hashtag Vikings. Our last mailbag we did last week had over 10,000 views when we reposted it to the channel. So if you guys want your thoughts up on screen, I'll break it down. I'll chop it up with you guys. Hashtag Vikings or Super Chat. And then if you guys are ready to go and dive into this report right here where the Vikings may not be taking a quarterback, just give me a skull down in the comment section. As Z-Cool, you're already in the raffle. Already got your tickets. Don't worry about that. Joshua saying, yo, what do y'all think about Cat's injury? Is he coming back? Talk Carl Anthony Towns right now. He should be back in 3 weeks. I think he's going to be reevaluated in about 2 right now. Nevada Maverick saying Chiefs signed Wentz. There's always hope. Yeah, no doubt. Eric Mott saying skull. Shout out to you, Eric. But if you guys are ready to go. Give me a skull down in the comment section.
Some NFL news just around the NFC North specifically. Jarrett Payton tweeted out something about Steve McMichael. He's been hospitalized. The McMichael family is asking for prayers as Steve was hospitalized today. He is currently undergoing tests. We will update the fans and the media as information becomes available.
Wow.
I know that the Vikings, the Bears, they are rivals, but at the end of the day, it's always FGB, and some things are bigger than football, so prayers out to Steve McMichael and his family.
I just saw that come across. Hopefully all is well there on the Chicago front. Halftime Chevy in the chat. Patrick Lang in the chat. Also, Patrick Lang, I appreciate you disagreeing with me on this. I don't think we all have to have the same opinions. That's the beauty of YouTube and the beauty of Chat Sports is that we can disagree, we can chop it up, we can talk about it, we can just find the best option for this football team. Bulls Nation, appreciate you dropping that question. Tough season for our Bulls, man. Tough season. John Mechie would be dope. X is vibing. We'll get to this, and then we'll get into today's show. X, that's getting you another raffle ticket, coming in with a $10 super chat. Everybody give me a Skull X down in the comments section. Show my man some love as he's coming in with a $10 super chat. Shout out to you, X is vibing, getting you another ticket in our raffle entry. And let's see what my man's got to say. He says, if I was a betting man, which I am, don't let me in Vegas. Appreciate you, X. He says, I'm probably not going to win, but I'll take out a loan for this. X, you have a good chance because I'm looking at it right now. You have one. So this is going to be your third ticket into the raffle entry, and I think we had about 33 names in there. So you got a chance, X is vibing. But if you guys want to boost your odds in getting it, $10 super chat does so. But X, I appreciate it as always. Shout out to you. You're so in support, always on the channel. So I really do appreciate it. But guys, we're going to be diving into this report around the Minnesota Vikings possibly not drafting a quarterback. We got a major update around the Minnesota Vikings possibly drafting a quarterback in 2024 as a report came out that states the Minnesota Vikings are preparing to not draft a quarterback in this year's draft class and could be looking at the 2025 class to get it done. Let's kick it to Kevin Seifert, who broke down this report yesterday, and he said this. He says they're preparing for the possibility of riding with off-season free agent addition Sam Darnold in 2024 and then regrouping with either a quarterback drafted with a lower pick or perhaps a look ahead to the 2025 class. And this is my initial reaction to this. This is a smokescreen, or at least I hope. I am still in the camp that the Vikings have to do whatever it takes to go get their quarterback, go get their guy in this year's draft class. You traded for that pick from the Houston Texans for a reason, to go get your guy, whether it's Drake Maye, J.J. McCarthy, whoever it may be. And maybe the Vikings just wanted to kind of downplay the reports and downplay the rumors of them trading up in this year's draft. So I'm hoping this is a smokescreen, but you truly never know with Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. But I want to send him a message to start off today's show. If you want the Vikings to draft a quarterback, not next season, but this season, it's simple. Drop a like on today's video. I put the goal as 500 likes on today's show. If you guys want to make me look good for my bosses and show support to the Vikings front office and send them a message that Vikings fans want to draft a quarterback this year and not next, give me a like on today's show. So this is my take when I heard that report from Kevin Seifert. It is the worst, best-kept secret in the NFL that the Vikings are looking to trade up for a quarterback in this year's draft. Everybody in the NFL knows. GMs, front office members from around the league, they know that Kwesi is trying to move up in this year's draft. So maybe Kwesi hit up Kevin Seifert, who is the beat reporter for the Minnesota Vikings that works for ESPN, and said, hey, we need to slow the roll on some of the buzz around the Vikings trade up in this year's class. So I think it's a smokescreen. But what if this is true? Let's break down on today's show that let's take this report for what it is, that the Vikings are preparing to draft a quarterback either in the later rounds this year or in next year's draft class, and that they may use these 2 first-round picks that they have to go add some key additions to the offense and defensive side of the football. Obviously, we do know the Vikings do hold the 11th and 23rd pick in this year's draft. They got this pick from the Houston Texans, which, hey, we thought this was going to be used to go and trade up for a quarterback. Let's just say they stay put. Who would they end up drafting? So my number one choice at pick 11 for the Minnesota Vikings would be this man out of Toledo, the cornerback, in my opinion, the number one quarterback in this year's draft class, Kenny-On Mitchell, and he is an absolute dog, ladies and gentlemen. He's super long, super athletic, kind of gives me shades of a prime Xavier Rhodes when he was playing here in Minnesota. And let's look at what he did last year, because he was just fantastic, like just straight up fantastic for Toledo this past season. He was only thrown at 62 times, and out of those 62 times, only gave up 27 completions, 290 yards given up, no touchdowns given up, and the insane stat right here, he had 18 pass breakups and 1 interception with only being thrown at 62 times. I think that just speaks to because high level play that he has, and only giving up a quarterback rating of 51.1. But taking a look at the Vikings cornerback room, because there is still a dire need for a true cornerback one. Again, I like Byron Murphy as a cornerback 2, not so much as a cornerback 1. I love the addition of Shaq Griffin. Did have a down year for the Jags and the Panthers last season, but he could be a great rotational guy. I like Caleb Evans. I like Mekhi Blackman, but are they truly, rotational players in the NFL? Jury is still out on that. But if you guys would bring in a guy like Kenyon Mitchell, I think it would be a great addition. I think he's got true cornerback 1 potential in this league. So if the Vikings, if they do stand put or stay pat at pick 11 and 23, he would be my number 1 option. But now at pick 23, I got the Vikings adding some kind of oomph to their football team, and they're getting Jerzon Newton, the defensive tackle from the Fighting Illini. And this dude is just a big old man that mans the middle of that defensive line. I mean, look at this picture on screen right now. This is a big fella. And also, I love defensive linemen in college when they did wear single-digit numbers, wearing number 4 and having the belly out. There's just some sort of swagger that I like about that. But he had a great year, man. And he's also great at getting pressure from the interior. 7.5 sacks from the defensive tackle spot with 43 pressures. And we know the Big Ten, they produce offensive linemen at the highest level every single year. So he was getting it done at that regard. And, in 12 games, 8.5 TFLs, 7.5 sacks, 43 pressures from the interior. This dude's just an absolute dog. And there's no doubt the Vikings need to add some beef. Over the last couple of seasons under Kevin O'Connell, I think the Vikings, we can all agree, they are a finesse football team. When they won 13 games a couple years ago, it was on the back of Justin Jefferson, on the back of Kirk Cousins. It was an air raid attack, and the Vikings, on both sides of football, they haven't been able to stop the run, and they haven't been able to establish any type of run game. Adding a guy like Jerzon Newton would do so. He is that big fella in the middle. Actually reminds me of former Vikings legends, Kevin and Pat Williams, and guys like Linval Joseph. And I always compare, interior defensive linemen to obviously interior offensive linemen and the relationship that they have with linebackers and running backs. Defensive tackles can open up lanes for linebackers like Blake Cashman, like a guy like Ivan Pace Jr. hitting the seams and just making plays in the backfield. I would be thrilled if this is the draft that the Vikings have. We're taking Kenyon Mitchell at round 1, pick 11, and then you're taking Jerzon Newton at pick 23. If you are staying pat and not moving up in this draft, I would be absolutely thrilled because it's knocking out a position of need here and knocking out another of position need here. But I want you guys to grade this mock draft for me. Give me an A, B, C, D, or F. If the Vikings stay put and they don't make any moves, would you be thrilled with this draft? Give me an A, B, C, D, or F down in the comment section. So we got this report that the Vikings may be looking at the 2025 QB draft class. So we're going to talk about some targets just around the corner, but I want to tell you guys about today's sponsor, and that is Game Time. Anytime you guys are planning on going to a concert, a game, Timberwolves, Wild, whatever it may be, that requires purchasing a ticket, Game Time is the best way to do so. So download the Game Time app today, and if you guys use code CHATSPORTS, we'll hook you guys up with $20 off. Cat Williams is coming to Minneapolis in about a week or so. So if you guys want to go see him, definitely do it and download the Game Time app. But if you guys haven't already, and maybe you guys want to go see the Twins, Wild, or maybe go see a Minnesota Timberwolves playoff game, I suggest you download the app, and then it will hit you with this screen right here where it says redeem code. If you guys put in code CHATSPORTS, we'll give you guys $20 off. That could be big. And hey, if you're going to a Twins game, tickets are pretty cheap. They're normally around like $15 to $30. You could get pretty much a free ticket if you do use code CHATSPORTS. So get hooked up today, download the Game Time app, and I promise you, you guys won't regret it. Code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS. Download the app, use that code right there. We'll hook you guys up with $20 off. All right, let's take a look at the top 5 quarterbacks heading into next season. Now, obviously, you got Shedeur Sanders and Quinn Ewers. We'll get into those guys more in a second, but you got Drew Aller, Connor Wegman, Carson Beck at Georgia. And I like those 3 guys you see in the middle, but I don't like them as much as I would prefer the Vikings targeting a guy like Shedeur Sanders or Quinn Ewers. That's why if the Vikings are looking towards next season, these are my top 2 options. We'll dive into both here, and let's start it off. with the man who just bought a Tesla truck with his NIL money, Shedeur Sanders, actually from Dallas, Texas. I did not know that. That's where the Chat Sports studios are located. But he really hit the scene hard, man. Last season, like even watching him play in the first game against TCU week 1 of the college football season last year, he was absolutely fantastic, and he came on the scene fast. He came on it hard, and I actually do have some pros and cons around Shedeur Sanders and just his overall game, because I wanted to go in there, dive into the tape a little bit, and see what Sanders is good and what he is bad at. And the number one pro I had on Shedeur Sanders, his accuracy and ball placement. I would tell you what, this guy, he is incredible at fitting the ball in the tight windows. Whether it's these like deep over routes where he had those throws countless times where he's fitting it over a linebacker's shoulder and he's just ear-holing the ball past the guy. He's great at that. Connie has. He does hold on to the football a little too much, which I can kind of chalk up to him just kind of being a playmaker. You know, Russell Wilson, since he's came into the league, he has allowed the most sacks to himself by like 100 sack margin, which, you know, obviously is a negative, but I would rather have them go be aggressive and go try to make plays instead of kind of being passive. Also, he's clutching late game situations. We saw that countless times at Colorado last year. The Buffaloes are down in the game. He drives them right down the field, goes get a touchdown or a field goal, whatever it may be. This is a con that is definitely the worst part of his game. He's an okay anticipatory thrower. And what I mean by this is like when a window opens up, he doesn't see a window that could possibly be open until it is right in his face, which, you know, I think in the NFL, I think that could be taught to you, but he doesn't really have that, you know, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, where like it looks like nothing's open and he almost throws the receiver open, which is something he's obviously going to get better at once he hits the league. But he's also got great post-snap recognition. He's great at, kind of picking out coverages and seeing what the best option is. So I love Shedeur Sanders. I think he's going to be great in the NFL. And hey, plus, you know, his dad's freaking Dion, man. He's got that in his blood. I think he would work out, you know, obviously in the league. But let's kick to the Quinn Ewers here. And this is a guy who, you know, I think I'm a bigger fan of him than most people are. Coming from Southlake, Texas. I mean, he was one of the best quarterbacks in Texas football, or Texas high school history. You said what? Southlake Carroll. He went to high school in Texas. Shout out to Trace for letting me know that. But, hey, this past season, I thought he was great. He shaved off the mullet, ran with the buzz cut following his freshman year, and I love the way he throws the football. And listen, he's got arm talent to make every throw. There's no doubt about that. Like, you know, he skipped out on his senior year of high school to go to Ohio State, transferred into Texas the following year. But, you know, I just think like a lot of people like saw him come back from that injury his freshman year where he did not play good, really struggled against Oklahoma State. And I think people just kind of chalked it up as he's not, you know, that good of a quarterback. Well, I think he can make a case for himself to potentially win the Heisman next season. You know, that Texas offense is really going to be rolling, and he has every kind of throw in the book to execute an offense. The one thing here, he has a sidearm release, and it's not that big of a deal in my opinion, but it does lead to some inconsistencies. But, hey, guys like Mahomes, guys like Josh Allen, Herbert, they all have the sidearm too. You know, you see guys, you know, they either throw a U with the football where you're making a U and it's more of like a sidearm action, or you got the old school where you're making a C right here with the Tom Brady, Peyton Manning type of throw. So he's got a U thrower, but I also love he can mix up the ball speed. He can layer the football really well. He doesn't have the, you know, best strength on the ball when he's throwing over the middle field, fitting it in tight windows. He's going to definitely need to add some, you know, strength to that element, but he can also throw on the run, man. He can make dudes miss outside the pocket. Sneaky athlete. So overall, I would love if the Vikings took Quinn Ewers. But will the Vikings draft a quarterback in 2024? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Y for yes, N for no. I sure as hell hope they do. Even though I like Quinn Ewers and Shedeur Sanders, I just really hope the Vikings go and get their guy this season. But if we get any more updates around this football team making moves in this year's draft or maybe making moves in next year's draft, we'll have a video for you guys ASAP. So hit that sub button if you guys haven't already. Help us reach 25K here on the channel. Absolutely incredible, and just love the support that you guys have shown. So see you guys next time. As always, Skol Vikes. My man Roger Bond coming in with another $10 super chat. What up, Roger? As I see, you got the Danielle Hunter and or the Danielle Hunter jersey and the ball in your profile pic. I love to see that. As he's saying, okay, I will take another ticket. They will be getting a QB. Roger is declaring this all smoke. Roger, I agree with you on that. I sure as hell hope they are going to take a quarterback this season, and I really do think it was just smoke. But Roger, you're getting another ticket. As we got Harvey Buxton in the chat. Shout out to Harvey. Harvey, you got a couple tickets in our March raffle as well.
Seeps, I want to make I just have one discrepancy. I want to pick with you. I got one bone. You didn't put KJ Jefferson in there.
KJ Jefferson, Arkansas.
The future.
Wait, is he coming back next year?
He is now a former Arkansas legend. He is now a UCF Knight legend.
No
Golden Knight
way.
legend. Yes.
I didn't know that. If you guys don't know, KJ Jefferson played at Arkansas last year.
Dude's a freaking dog.
Dude, he's kind of like a.
He is okay.
Anthony Richardson.
Let me put it this way, and I'm trying to be as polite. And there is no sort of anything behind this other than he is a black Taysom Hill.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, he can literally
throw the ball. He can run with the ball. He can catch the ball. He can literally do everything.
He literally is Derrick Henry in a court. Like he has Derrick Henry's body, but he just plays quarterback. KJ Jefferson, if you guys don't know him,
if you say Mike Nintendo Master, KJ Jefferson is not mid. That's just not a true statement at all. The dude is a freaking animal.
Trace did go to Arkansas. So
yeah, and I also know ball. Hey, Seeps, who also called Ivan Pace last year? Wasn't it us? Wasn't it you and I?
No, you called it at first.
Just saying.
Trace did put this channel on Ivan Pace last year.
Just saying.
But Roger, give me the thumbs up. Shout out to you, man.
KJ's going to be great in the purple and gold one day.
Dude, I'm not even going to lie. KJ would be...
Dude,
KJ would be
here's my thing. If he's available in like the 6th or 7th round and a team just wants a wild card guy...
Take a flyer on him.
Dude, I could see him being... It's not Cordero Patterson, but having that role of he's just a football player.
Yeah,
he isn't a running back. He's not a quarter. He's a football player. Like he might be the physical embodiment of flex.
Yeah, Josh Williams. Yeah, great point, dude. He's a big boy. When
him and Rocket Sanders were in the backfield, they had over 550 pounds in the backfield.
Yeah. And Skull Nation is saying Sammy D is gonna win us a Super Bowl. So Skull Nation, I was actually getting griped with on a video the other week. I called Sam Darnold Sammy D, and people were like, "Who the hell calls him Sam Darnold Sammy D?" I do. That is what I'm calling him on the channel. So Scoldra Soup saying not drafting a QB. What's this? Yeah, we did get a report. If you want to rewind on the live show, we're gonna have the video coming out in about an hour or so. But Kevin Seifert said the Vikings are preparing to not take a quarterback if the board ends up like that. I still fully expect them to do so. I thought it was kind of smoke, but obviously, we'll have to wait and see what happens to find that out. But we are doing our last call for our March raffle. We're going to be doing it at the end of today's show. So every $10 super chat that you send in gets you a ticket. Roger and X's Vibe already got their tickets in for today. So if you guys want more tickets, or maybe you want to buy a ticket for a real one down in the chat, you guys can do so, and we'll send this your way. It'll go straight to your doorstep. It's a little nightstand Vikings spinning, floating helmet. There's nothing here. You can spin it around. It's freaking sweet. I was honestly thinking about throwing $10 in myself just to have a chance to win it. But then we're also going to be having a mailbag up on the channel in about 20 minutes or so. So if you guys have a question around the Minnesota Vikings, use hashtag Vikings, or you guys can super chat and get your question up on screen. As Mike Nintendo, I appreciate you getting your question in there. But coming up on the show, we are going to be breaking down a CBS mock draft they did have for Minnesota. And then also Kevin O'Connell and a couple other reporters kind of hinted at who they think the Vikings' number one choice will be for this football team. So we're going to be diving into that. Moving up to at least 4. Yeah, I hope so. Blonde's Head saying Justin Jefferson should request a trade. I sure as hell hope he does not. That would get ugly. That'll be entertaining, but that would definitely get ugly here on the channel. As Rocky coming in with a $10 super chat. He wants to get in the raffle. Shout out to Rocky coming in there, the cutest dog in Minnesota. Shout out to Rocky saying skull. Footballer saying super chat in the chat. Hey, $10 super chat gets you a ticket to win the item. Rocky, we appreciate it. Roger Bong showing love to Rocky saying skull Rocky. As X is vibing, shout out to you. Getting a question in there. We appreciate it. But look at that little cute puppy up there. Shout out to Rocky. Munkus saying skull Rocky. Shout out to Munkus in the chat. Absolute legend. V. Lyle saying I hope they land JJ or May. I hope they do too, man. I hope they do too. Cannot wait for the energy next year. Oh my God, yeah. The energy on this channel during watch parties, no matter who it is, like we're going to be moving because it's a new era in Minnesota. And I'm just, I'm excited about it. But
hey, and on top of that, we may not be solo this time.
Yeah,
maybe this go around we might have a producer.
Yeah, hopefully. Roger.
The experience that much better for everyone.
Roger, if you want to send my bosses an email, I'd appreciate it. Say, hey, can we get Seeps a producer for the frickin' next season?
And if you throw Ann Trizzy in there too,
yeah,
you'll get a crisp high five from me.
Saints and Vikings need a producer for watch parties next season. If you want to send Yodes an email. All right, Big Luck saying, I got season tickets. I'm hyped, bro. Yeah, you should be. It's going to be a ton of fun. But we're going to dive into a CBS mock draft and who I believe is the number one choice for the Vikings at quarterback next season. No, you're good. All right, let's dive into it, fellas. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, CBS dropped a mock draft for the Minnesota Vikings, which had them trading up and landing a quarterback. So we'll dive into that here first off on today's show. And then also, who is the Vikings' number one choice at quarterback? We've heard reports of J.J. McCarthy. We heard reports of Drake Maye, but I think it's pretty clear who the Vikings brass want as their quarterback in this year's draft. But first off, guys, I want to say thank you so much to everybody who's hit that subscribe button to the channel over the last couple of weeks. We've been growing like wildfire here, so seriously, thank you guys so much. I know it's kind of annoying getting different rumors, different reports, and you really want to know what is true. But my job here, I get a new report. I get a video for you guys out ASAP, and I'm going to continue to do so. So if you guys haven't already, hit that sub button. Help us reach 25,000 subs. Can't believe I'm saying it, but we're 580 away. So if you guys haven't already, lock us in as your go-to Vikings YouTube channel. All right, first pick, round one, pick number 4. The Minnesota Vikings land this man right here, Drake Maye, via trade with the Arizona Cardinals. And in a bit of a shocker, in this mock draft, CBS had the Patriots taking J.J. McCarthy at pick number 3, which left the door open for Minnesota to trade up for the North Carolina quarterback. And guys, let me tell you something. If they would pull off this trade, we'll be popping a bottle of champagne here on the channel, because I think Maye, in my opinion, if he goes to Minnesota, he'll be no doubt the second best quarterback in this year's draft class. But let's take a deeper look at Drake Maye here. Go through some advanced stats, because we've shown the basic, stats where it's yards, touchdowns, interceptions and all that. But let's go a little deeper here. So his adjusted completion percentage. This takes into consideration drops, tip passes, and the whole 9. His was pretty good at 75.1. His average depth of target, or A dot, you see that was at 11 yards this past season. Higher up there compared to other quarterbacks in this year's class. But then he also had the second highest big-time throw rate, or BTT rate, as you see on your screen, at 7.7% of all of his throws were considered big-time throws, and PFF just chalks that up to, when you see a big-time throw, you call it a big-time throw. So they had him at 7.7%. Turnover-worthy play rate, a little higher compared to his other classmates in this year's class. It was at 1.9%. But also, he was working with actually a pretty decent offensive line at North Carolina, so his average time to throw was 2.79. But overall, if the Vikings would land Drake Maye in this year's class, it would be an absolute boom for Minnesota. I think he's got that Josh Allen, Justin Herbert type of potential, big body, can make every type of throw that you could ask him on the football field and really execute any play that Kevin O'Connell calls offensively. But I've said this countless times. Landing spot matters with these guys, and I think the Vikings offer the best landing spot. And if Drake Maye would come to Minnesota, I think we would see the max potential of who he could be as an NFL quarterback. But now we kick at the round 3 here, and you may be saying the Vikings don't have a third-round pick. Well, they got one from the Arizona Cardinals, as they did give up 3 first-round picks in this year's draft, so they got back a couple of thirds. But they got the Vikings selecting a defensive lineman from Clemson, Rook Aurora. Shout out to Trace. I was just looking at that, and I was like, that is a tough last name to pronounce. But Rook, sweet first name, by the way. But they got them drafting the big old defensive lineman from Clemson, and I will say, he is great at getting interior pressure from the interior of the defensive line, which is obviously something I love out of defensive linemen. And he comes in at 6'4", 290 pounds, actually from Nigeria. Pretty cool story behind him. But he had 25 tackles last year, 5 sacks, and 0 forced fumbles. Vikings need more kind of beef on this football team, and Rook would definitely check that box. But they got another third-round pick from the Arizona Cardinals in this trade, and they got a cornerback that I absolutely love. I was actually going to make a video about the Vikings trading back up into the second round to get this guy, Renardo Green, the cornerback from Florida State, which they are going to draft with the number 90 pick that they got from the Arizona Cardinals. And I love this guy. He is so fluid with his hips. I feel like he can guard any type of route that gets thrown out at him. 6 foot, 186 pounds from Florida, but this past season had 12 PBUs, 1 interception, and obviously with the Vikings a need at that cornerback spot, I really do think they're going to end up drafting a cornerback. But with them only having 2 firsts and then a 4th round pick, I wouldn't hate the Vikings. If you don't get any more thirds, trade back up in this year's draft class. But with the final pick we're going to be discussing in this year's draft, the Vikings are selecting Dominique Pooney from Kansas, the interior offensive lineman. And look at this big fella right here. He is an absolute mauler, and he's kind of got some big-time potential to him. He was very up and down. I was just going through his PFF grades this past season. It was like he was really good one game, really bad the next. Like, kind of reminds me of, honestly, Ed Ingram with his inconsistencies. But he's from St. Charles, Missouri, 6'5", 320 pounds, and the Vikings have a need at that interior defensive line spot. So I think with this mock draft that CBS put out, the Vikings hit their 4 biggest needs, and I would absolutely love it if this is how the Vikings draft felt. But I want you guys to get involved on today's show. Grade this mock draft for me. Give me an A, B, C, D, or F. If these are the first 4 picks for Minnesota, where you somehow get 2 extra third-round picks from Arizona, and you end up getting Drake Maye, so you get a quarterback, a defensive back, a defensive lineman, and an interior offensive lineman, how would you grade this draft? A, B, C, D, or F? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Coming up just around the corner, we're going to be discussing who the Vikings brass, Vikings front office, Vikings coaching staff has as their number 1 choice to be quarterback for Minnesota next season. But I got to tell you guys about a sweet deal we have going on here first. And if you guys head to chatsports.com/Vikings jersey, you guys can get your Aaron Jones jerseys today. I think this is going to be a hot one to wear at US Bank Stadium this next season. So if you guys want to rep the purple and gold, help support the show as well, click that link. It's going to be down in the comment section and description of today's show, and get your Aaron Jones jersey today, because when the Packers come to US Bank Stadium next year, there's no better jersey to be wearing than this one. So click the link in the comments and description of today's show and go get yourself a awesome Aaron Jones jersey. So all reports are starting to indicate that the Vikings may be all in on this certain quarterback, and I'll just tease it right now. It is Drake Maye. And Ben Gosling, who does cover the Minnesota Vikings very, very well, he is very tapped in. He's on K-Fan all the time, and he put out this quote. He said, I would put Maye number 1 in terms of who the Vikings' number 1 choice is. He says, I think that has continued to be my belief is that he's the guy they like, and he's the guy that is the best fit. And in terms of fit with the Vikings offense, I tend to agree with that. I think it's either Drake Maye or J.J. McCarthy. I think they both, I think what J.J. could be in the NFL is what a lot of people think that Drake Maye, was in college last season. That big-time quarterback can make every throw, has that mobility. But, Drake Maye, he's an absolute stud. And this is the part I love the most, is just the overall size to him. And, coming in at 6'4", 230 pounds, he's a big-time quarterback. He's got big boom. He's got big bust potential. But I do think if he ends up in Minnesota with the weapons we have and this overall support system, I think he could really end up flourishing. But we did also get this report from Carmen Vitali, who does work for Fox Sports, and she was very tapped in with league sources, who had this to say around Kevin O'Connell's quarterback preference. She says, from sources I've talked to, the Vikings and Coach O'Connell in particular likes Drake Maye, the former UNC quarterback, with a high floor and tremendous pocket presence. Kind of disagree about the tremendous pocket presence part, but we'll get to that here in a second. But just some scouting that I had on Drake Maye. Already teased it at the beginning of today's show. Unreal arm, touch every blade of grass. You guys already know that. But a con he has. He's got happy feet in the pocket. If you guys remember Kirk Cousins' first year here, he was a big pat the football guy in the pocket, and he was just dancing a little too much. Got him into some trouble this past season at North Carolina. But it kind of goes, right by side with the big pro he has, and that's his mobility. He does have that ability to tuck and run the football, go run over a smaller defensive back, or make a linebacker miss, in the hole. I love his mobility. He can throw on the run really well. I mean, we saw, obviously pro days don't matter too much, but we saw at his pro day, he can make almost every throw in the book on the run. Another con he has, and, I don't want to be too critical about this, but he does have a slower release. He's got kind of a wind-up, and I think just, in the NFL, obviously the time to throw obviously decreases just because defensive ends are so much more athletic in the NFL compared to college football. So I think a slower release could get him in trouble a little bit. but it also helps him layer the football. So I don't really necessarily think it's the biggest deal in the world, but just wanted to get that out to you guys. And like I said, my favorite pro on Drake Maye is his overall size. 6'4", 230 pounds. Like, he really is that Justin Herbert, Josh Allen prototype of quarterback. But the thing is he going to be the Josh Allen, Justin Herbert type, or is he going to be the Carson Wentz type? We'll obviously have to wait and see how his career plays out. But Ben Gosling also had this to say on the Vikings trading up. And like I said, he is very tapped in. He says, I think that's how it goes. And I think the Vikings are one of 4 teams that will be looking to trade up. Whether it's to get to 3 or whether to get to 4, I continue to think they'll be in the top 4 to take a quarterback. And I had this take and I had this thought. You know, let's just say the Vikings, and we get that notification on our phone that they trade up to the 5th overall pick. 1, I don't think the Vikings would do that. And 2, the reason for that is because if they go and get the Chargers pick, you are almost setting yourself up to get screwed in the NFL draft. Because let's just say we get that right now. Vikings trade up to 5. And then if you're the Denver Broncos, you're the Las Vegas Raiders, you're doing everything you can to go trade up with the Arizona Cardinals and get that 4th pick so then you can go get your quarterback. Could you imagine draft day? It rolls around. The Vikings are at quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, 4, and the Vikings are at number 5. It would be an absolute disaster. So this is where I'm at. This is where I think the odds kind of shake up right now. I really think there's not really that strong of a chance anymore that they go up and get the Commanders pick. So I put that at 1%. And then at the 3 pick with New England, I think a little less likely. I'm going to put that at 20%. But I do think it's most likely that they do trade with the Arizona Cardinals and get pick number 4. And I think there is a chance that they do trade for pick number 5, but the only way they do that is on draft day. Like, it would literally be, we get the alert, the Cardinals or whoever it may be is drafting Marvin Harrison Jr., and then it's immediately Kwesi is rushing to the phone to go make that trade with the Chargers. So I still think there's a chance for pick number 5, but I promise you it will not happen before the NFL draft. Now, I want to get a little real one roll call to end out today's show. If you guys made it to the end, give me a skull down in the comment section. Make it look like US Bank Stadium on game day, and I'll show you guys some extra love down in the comment section. And as always, guys, if you guys haven't hit that sub button already, I don't know what you're doing. We're closing in on 25K here on the channel. So if you guys could, I would really appreciate it. And hit that subscribe button. See y'all next time. Skol Vikes, baby. All righty, my man Harvey Buxton coming in with a $10 super chat. What's up, Harvey? Got you another ticket into the raffle. As he says, if we don't draft a quarterback, are you telling me that we have to watch Sam Darnold ball? Yeah, I am telling you that, Harvey, and I think he's going to do a lot better of a job than most people think. This dude was a top 3 pick for a reason. Did he work out in the NFL? No. But what have I been saying on the channel? Landing spot matters. Where did Sam Darnold get drafted to? It was the New York Jets. QB hell, the New York Jets, seriously. And then where did he go after that? To the Carolina Panthers.
Other QB hell.
Like, I think the jury is still out on Sam Darnold. You know, I think it could work out.
To give some love to Sam Darnold, not that he deserves a bunch, he didn't play horribly with the Niners. And
no, he didn't.
And I think that the Niners, they have more of a all-around offense because their offensive line is a little bit better. But, I mean, you give him a couple weapons and you give him a second to throw the ball, he can do it.
And plus with Kevin O'Connell, like, I think
you can get creative with Sam Darnold.
Kevin O'Connell had Josh Dobbs coming off one practice looking good in Atlanta last season. Like, just everybody who would freak out if Sam Darnold starts the entire year. I'm saying this, Sam Darnold could win us 7 to 10 games. I really do believe that. The Vikings are a good enough team around him where he could, execute it.
If somehow, let's play the hypothetical game. If the Vikings make the playoffs with Sam Darnold as your starting quarterback, you should do a video that's going through a bunch of old comments and tweets of like, here's everyone, just receipts. Because that would be hilarious.
I gave you guys, I think it was on 2 shows ago, I gave you guys 5 reasons to believe in Sam Darnold, and you guys weren't that nice to me in the comments section. And I'm just trying to be a little more optimistic about my man Sammy D here. The dude's got talent. We just got to see if it's going to obviously play out. But we got a super chat running in from my man Joe. Shout out to Joe, sending $1. I do appreciate it, Joe, showing love to the channel. My man Coop in the building as well. Shout out to Coop. But Joe, we appreciate it.
Interesting report from Ari. The Bills GM Brandon Beane said that they didn't inform Josh Allen that the Stephon Diggs trade was happening, so he likely woke up this morning with that news. But they did say there's inquiries about him earlier in this offseason, so something could happen. So there's reason to believe that Josh Allen woke up this morning and was like, holy cow, I don't have a receiver anymore.
Yeah, also big news of the NFL today, former Vikings diva Stephon Diggs was traded from the Bills to the Houston Texans. So he came to Minnesota. He had Kirk Cousins and a very good offense. Wasn't happy with that. He wanted better quarterback play. Oh, and then he decided, I'm going to go to Buffalo, win all types of games, get the most targets in the NFL, get the most yards in the NFL since he joined the Bills, go to the playoffs countless times, have the second best player in the entire National Football League throw him the football, and Stephon Diggs, it just wasn't enough for him. So, you know what? He's 30 years old. He didn't have over 100 yards since week 6 last year.
Ivan Pace wasn't throwing him the football.
Ivan Pace wasn't throwing the football. That's hilarious. Yeah, but Stephon Diggs got traded his ass to Houston today. I'd check it out if you want to see some Viking stuff. I have seen that. Appreciate that though, Bill the Duck. I have seen that. Roger, he did play with Kirk for a year. That was Kirk's first year here. Him and Diggsy. But if you guys do want to get a question in there, super chat or use hashtag Vikings. We are going to be getting into a mailbag here shortly. I think I made a mistake and I didn't put hashtag Vikings in the software. So I'm going to need to ask you guys once again if you guys could get your Vikings takes, get your Vikings questions out there, get down in the comments section, hashtag Vikings, ask whatever it may be, and we'll break it down here live on the channel, and then you'll be posted on a video that could be seen by thousands of other Vikings fans. So get involved, hashtag Vikings or super chat.
If you have a trade idea or even a hot take, that works as well. We want to see what you guys have to say. This is your chance to be the host.
You guys are going to steer the show. Whatever you guys want to talk about, we will do it. Patrick Lang saying Skull. Patrick, call me out on one of my takes that you're doing. Use the hashtag Vikings though as well. And then also we are going to be doing last call for the raffle. We're going to be doing it after the mailbag. We got all your names on a big old wheel. We're going to spin it and see who ends up getting it. Shout out to Bulls Nation. Appreciate asking another question. Joe Bitto saying, why did we give up a trade? How does a trade with Diggs have to do with us? What does it have to do with us? Nothing. It just shows the Vikings were right to move off Stephon Diggs, I think. PP saying that's inappropriate, bro. He came in with a question. I appreciate it. Munkus coming in with a question. Appreciate you. Are you sure you're a professional? Yeah, I'm a professional. Munkus. Wait, did Diggs get traded again? Yeah, Diggs went to the Houston Texans today. Yeah, he got traded to the Houston Texans. Doctor. That's funny. We should be good. Central, I want Sam Darnold to be because he was great. Yeah, Eric Mott, appreciate you getting that question in there. But also, last call, $10 super chats, get you another entry into the raffle. But yeah, we're ready to dive into this little mailbag. Yeah, we'll be good. Alrighty, everybody. If you guys are ready, I am ready to kick it off. We're going to be answering questions from you guys. Let's see what you guys have to say. And also, for mid-cut, send a super chat. You'll get thrown on right away. Could the Vikings be signing another wide receiver to add to this wide receiver group? We're going to be talking about that to start off today's show. And then also, coming up on the second half of today's show, we're going to be answering questions from Vikings fans in a mailbag during our weekly live shows here on the channel. So I can't wait to get into that. But before we dive into it, I got a question for you guys. Should the Vikings bring in another wide receiver? It's Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, but there's still that need at the wide receiver 3 spot. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. All right, let's take a look at the wide receiver room, how it shakes out right now. So obviously, you got the best non-quarterback in the National Football League in Justin Jefferson, knocking down that wide receiver 1 spot. Jordan Addison looks like the real deal, over 900 yards, 10-plus touchdowns last season. He's the wide receiver 2, no doubt about that. And then Brandon Powell at the wide receiver 3 spot. I like Brandon Powell. had no issues with him. I think he would be a great wide receiver 3. But you could still get an upgrade there. You got guys like N'Keal Harry, Jalen Nailor, who I do want to talk about here in a second. But maybe the Vikings could go out and sign a guy. And here are the top 5 free agent wide receivers that are currently still available. You got Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver Tyler Boyd. You got Odell Beckham. You got former Saints legend Michael Thomas, Raiders receiver Hunter Renfrow, and then you also have McCole Hardman. I would like all these guys to come in and be a wide receiver 3, but I think it's just going to come down to if the Vikings are going to want to, allocate their funds and allocate their, final, few $1 million they have of cap space to the wide receiver 3 spot. But hey, man, if the Vikings signed either of these 5 guys, they would have the best wide receiver group in the National Football League, no doubt about it. But an internal option for Minnesota. This is my man right here, Jalen Nailor. And I've been on him since the Vikings took him out of the 6th round from Michigan State. And I thought he was a potential breakout candidate with Minnesota next season, but he runs super silky routes. He's super fast. Kind of reminds me, a little Stephon Diggs light. A little Stephon Diggs light is Jalen Nailor. But I think if he got his chance to be the wide receiver 3, I think he would really flourish. So that's who I would want the Vikings to go with as their 3rd option. Maybe it's a little mix and match of a guy like, Jalen Nailor and Brandon Powell, but that's who I would go with. I just want to see if the Vikings had anything with the, 6th round receiver. That obviously Rick Spielman did draft him, and hey, Rick Spielman, whatever you think of him, the dude knows how to draft receivers. I mean, Thielen, Diggs, Jefferson. So I would like to see Jalen Nailor get his shot. But we did have a $50 super chat on today's show coming in from my man Scolger, and he just had one thing to say. He said, JJ to JJ, talking about JJ McCarthy throwing to Justin Jefferson. Hey, man, I would love to see it. Also, how great would that call be, whether it's from me on our watch parties or Paul Allen, the play-by-play guy for the Vikings, them screaming out, JJ, the JJ for 6. I think it would absolutely be electric. So, hey, Scolger, I really appreciate you showing support here on the channel. Did it through our watch parties all last season. So, seriously, shout out to you. Everybody show him some love down in the comments section. Well, let's kick it to Bobby Wagner here, a spy, tuning in on today's show, saying, should the Vikings swing big and trade for Brandon Ayuk? Okay, yeah, this would definitely be swinging big. So let's break it down here. Brandon Ayuk, guys, I think he's one of the more underrated receivers and just underrated players in the National Football League. A great route runner. The only thing is with trading for Ayuk, it's going to obviously cost draft capital, and it may cost, a 1st or a 2nd round pick, and then you're also going to have to pay the guy. And if the Vikings, you haven't paid Justin Jefferson already, you're going to tell me you're going to go pay Brandon Ayuk before you pay Justin Jefferson? I just don't really like that message it would send in the locker room. But, hey, man, Brandon Ayuk's a great player, and if you could somehow have Ayuk, Addison, and Jefferson, I mean, that would be one of the greatest wide receiver rooms we would ever see of all time. But I just don't really think it makes too much sense for Minnesota, considering the draft capital, and you would have to extend him. So I would just be out on Ayuk. Nothing against him as a player. I just don't really think it makes too much sense for the Vikings as a team right now. But we'll get to more questions from the real ones here in a second. But first, I got to tell you guys about today's sponsor, and that is Game Time. If you guys are planning on going to any, Minnesota Wild, Timberwolves, Twins games, whatever it may be that requires you to buy a ticket, I really encourage you guys to download the Game Time app. And if you guys use code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, we'll hook you guys up with $20 off your first purchase. Hey, Minnesota Twins games, you guys see it on the top right of your screen right now? $14. You get $20 off. You're getting a ticket for free. So definitely I would suggest downloading the Game Time app. It's the best ticket purchasing app out there. It's the best seats, lowest price guaranteed, and I love that prices drop as the event gets closer. No matter who it is, Timberwolves, Wild, Twins, whatever it may be, get hooked up today. Use code CHATSPORTS, and we'll hook you guys up with $20 off. Joe Bitto coming in and saying, how does the trade with Diggs what does the trade with Diggs have to do with us? Why did we give up a trade? So if you guys didn't know, the news of the day was that Stefon Diggs was traded to the Houston Texans. And, just looking back on it, I think the Vikings won that trade. Obviously Justin Jefferson was the selection that the Vikings got with the 1st round pick that they got from Buffalo. I I thought it was a great move by Minnesota at the time, and it ended up working out because now we still have Jefferson on his rookie contract, and Buffalo has already shipped Stephon Diggs out the door. And actually, funny enough, the second-round pick that the Vikings sent to the Houston Texans, they sent that second-round pick to Buffalo to go land Stephon Diggs. But hey, nothing bad against Diggs. I'm just happy he's going somewhere else. But Bulls Nation coming in with a question saying, should Minnesota call Ryan Tannehill? No, I just don't really think there's any reason for that right now. You already got Sam Darnold, and we're all anticipating the Vikings do draft a quarterback. So I'm out on him. I would have liked him if the Vikings didn't have a bridge quarterback right now. I had some of my top options of like Sam Darnold, and Jacoby Brissett, and obviously Tannehill, but I just don't really think it makes too much sense as it stands right now. Skull Nation saying #Vikings. The Vikings should trade 3 next year's first and the 11th and keep 23rd. Oh, their next year's first and 11th and keep 23. I actually love that idea. I was actually going to do a wild trade video idea here on the channel coming up shortly. Skull Nation, that would definitely be on there because then this would allow the Vikings, and this trade would be probably to get the 5th overall pick or the 4th overall pick. But if you package next year's first and 11, go get J.J. McCarthy, and then at 23, you could go get one of those big fellas from Texas or Jerzon Newton from Illinois. I would absolutely love that. Great idea, Skull Nation. Really appreciate that question. Dr. Pepper coming with a question. Shout out to you, man. I appreciate it. Saying, do we know if JJ is being involved in the choice of quarterback? Need to keep this man happy. Yes, he is. I do have good news. Kevin O'Connell did talk about that a couple weeks ago, and he says we have been hand in hand with Justin Jefferson this entire time. So the Vikings are handling this the right way because we got the report early on this offseason Jefferson would not sign an extension without knowing the quarterback plan. Well, it turns out he does know that. So that is a definite good thing. Free real estate coming in saying, if you had to call it right now, what do the Vikings do in the draft? Okay, a little prediction time. If I had to call it right now, I think this is a tough question because I'm between two options. I know how much the Minnesota Vikings want to go get Drake Maye. I just don't know, even if they could trade up to 3, that he would end up being there. I think if I had to call it right now, what the Vikings do is that it's going to be a draft day trade where they can go get J.J. McCarthy with trading up for the Los Angeles Chargers. I think the Chargers will be opened to trading back just because I think Harbaugh is going to want to build a more complete roster. I think they would rather have 2 really good players instead of 1 great player from this draft. So if I had to call it right now, a draft day trade, Vikings send 11 and 23 to Los Angeles, and they go draft J.J. McCarthy. Bulls Nation saying, should Minnesota trade Andrew Booth Jr. to Kansas City for a day 2 pick? Yeah, 100%. The only thing is you're not getting a day 2 pick for Andrew Booth. I like the thought of that. I would do that in a heartbeat. And maybe Kansas City, with them just losing L'Jarius Sneed, maybe they say screw it, and we're going to go draft the Clemson corner. But yeah, I just don't know if Booth would go for a day 2. And also, I'm not completely out on Booth just yet. I would want him to stay maybe just for 1 more season just to see if maybe Flores can get the most out of him. But, hey, great thought right there. Eric Mott coming in saying, I want Darnold to be great because that means wins. Wins. Yes, 100% because, guys, with the way the Vikings roster is loaded up right now, if Sam Darnold plays good and he has a great year for Minnesota, the Vikings are probably winning 10 to 11 games. This is a team that won 7 games last season without Aaron Jones, without Kirk Cousins, without Justin Jefferson. You add all those guys back. Yes, you did lose Daniil Hunter, but you brought in Jonathan Grenard, Andrew Van Ginkel. I think the Vikings have one of the best coaching staffs now in the National Football League with Josh McCown, Kevin O'Connell, Brian Flores, Wes Phillips. Like, they have a loaded coaching staff. And, if Darnold ends up working out, maybe he doesn't play up to that top 3 pick potential, but let's just say he plays up to a first-round pick potential, and he's just a serviceable quarterback. Vikings will win a whole lot of games. Bulls Nation saying if Minnesota doesn't do well, Minnesota go after Coach Prime, and next season he drafted his son. That would be something. Let's just say it is a disaster this year. The Vikings don't draft a quarterback, and they make 2 selections at 11 and 23. and then they're sitting there and they fire Kevin O'Connell, then they trade up for Shedeur and hire Deion Sanders. Man, that would be an interesting thought. But again, I'd probably have a better chance of being struck by lightning and walking out of the office than that happening. But Bulls Nation, really love the thought. Definitely got creative on that one. And if you guys made it to the end of today's mailbag, watch the entire thing. Little real one roll call to end today's show. Give me a skull down in the comment section. I love seeing the skulls come in at the end of the show because then I get to see who watched it all the way through. Then also, guys, hit that sub button. We're going to be going live here during the draft for the channel. So if you guys could, lock us in as you go to Vikings YouTube channel. Appreciate all the support we've been getting on the channel as of late. But we'll see you guys next time. As always, Skol Vikes, baby. So let me know, should the Vikes bring in another wide receiver? Bill the Duck saying, yes, sir, Skol Nation. Saying Sammy D is breaking every record and we're winning the bowl, going 20-0. That would be something. That would be something. Not going to happen, but that would definitely be interesting. So I am going to put a 2-minute shot clock on my phone right now for the raffle. So any last-second super chats you do want to send them in there. We have all of your names on the raffle. 2 minutes. Get your last-minute tickets in there. You can see all your names. Got Z Cool, Scolger, Rocky, Roger, Bong. All of you guys are in there. And yeah, I can't wait. Z Cool saying you're my guy, or you're my go-to for all Vikings news. Cannot wait for your draft day live event. I can't wait either, man. It's going to be so much fun. Z Cool, appreciate you tuning in. Haven't seen you on the channel before this offseason, so I love just adding new people. And, thank you for tuning in. Bill the Duck, you enter the raffle by sending in a $10 super chat. It gets you one ticket. It's a little dollar icon down below there. $10 super chat does get you involved. Thoughts on the international player spot? I would want the Vikings to use it. I don't know if they are. They haven't really heard any rumors around that, but yeah, we'll obviously have to wait and see. Going to be a late night in the UK draft. Yeah, definitely is. Definitely is. Can't wait until next game live. Roger, the first preseason game with the Vikings rookie quarterback getting a start, or even if it's Sam Darnold, it's going to be sweet, man. It's going to be sweet. Oh, they are Build a Duck. I did not know that. I did not know that. But 45 seconds, and then we're going to spin this wheel and see who gets the giveaway item for this month. Turnovers cost a lot of games. We should have won. Yeah, I mean, the Vikings had one of the worst turnover margins in the NFL, and, that's a little bit, obviously it's a little luck, I think. I mean, because the year before, the Vikings were one of the most lucky teams in the NFL. Like, it always just ends up evening out, but yeah, I mean, they turned the ball over like crazy last year, had all types of injuries, and they were still able to scrap together 7 games, and that was with collapses versus the Denver Broncos and Cincinnati Bengals last season. Shame about not bringing Dobbs back. I'm not. I'm not really worried about that. He was terrible once teams started to figure him out. So, TRZ saying Skull. DDD saying where's Reisner at? Hopefully signing soon. He did get a new agent, so hopefully he does end up coming to Minnesota here. But we're going to spin the wheel. Appreciate everybody who sent in a super chat this month. And let's see who it goes to. Trace, if you're ready, let that sucker go. Here we go. Who's going to go home with it?
Harvey!
My man Harvey! Let's go! My man Harvey from overseas coming in winning the giveaway item. Harvey, it may show up to you in about 2 weeks because it takes a long time to ship over there. But shout out. I already got it. Yeah, we're all good. Shout out to Harvey. Congrats, my man. Z Cool, wish you could have went to YouTube. But, hey, we'll be doing giveaway items for this month as well. Roger showing Harvey some love. That's what's up. Appreciate that, Raj. Let's go, Harvey. Harvey Buxton winning it. Hopefully he's in here. If he's not, I'll DM him on Twitter. I got him there. So, let's go. Shout out to Harvey Buxton. That is going to your front doorstep overseas. Let's go. Dwayne giving me a little what's up sign. Shout out to you, Dwayne. Alrighty, guys. But thank you guys so much for watching today's show. As always, been an honor hanging out with you guys. And Harvey, you just won. I don't know if you saw that, but you just won our giveaway. So I'll be sending that your way here shortly. Appreciate you always showing support, my friend. Actually got 2 items coming your way. So, yeah. All right. Appreciate y'all. But we're going to sign off here. See you guys next time. Skol Vikes.